Eileen scanned the rooftop cafe one more time, phone clutched like a lifeline. The place was quiet for a Friday evening, soft jazz drifting over the hum of Seoul below, fairy lights strung like stars caught in wire. She smoothed her emerald dress, took a breath, and headed toward the corner table her friend had described. 2 seats, window view, man in a dark suit. She slid into the chair opposite him before she could second-guess herself. "You're early," she said, flashing a quick smile. "I like that. Means you're not the type to leave a girl waiting." The man looked up slowly, sharp jawline, dark eyes that held hers without blinking, hair swept back just enough to look effortless. He set his coffee down with deliberate calm. "I'm rarely late." His voice was low, smooth, carrying the faintest trace of amusement. Eileen felt the air shift, like the room had decided to pay attention to him alone. She leaned forward. "So, tell me, what made you agree to this? My friend swore you're not the blind date type." He tilted his head, studying her. "I'm not." "Then why?" "Because curiosity won." A small, almost private smile curved his lips. "And because the woman who just sat down without hesitation is far more interesting than whoever I was expecting." Eileen laughed, surprised at how easily it came. "Smooth. But I'm guessing you say that to every stranger who claims your table." "Only the ones who look at me like they're deciding whether I'm worth their evening." Heat crept up her neck. She opened her mouth to fire back when her phone buzzed. Min-Jun. "Hey, sorry, running super late. Traffic is insane. Order without me?" She stared at the screen, then at the man across from her. Realization hit like cold water. Oh no. She pressed her lips together, mortified. "You're not Min-Jun." He leaned back, unfazed. "Park Sung-min." Eileen groaned, covering her face with one hand. "I am so sorry. My friend said corner table, dark suit, alone. I just assumed—" "Don't apologize." His tone was gentle but firm. "I'm not complaining." She peeked through her fingers. He was still watching her, expression unreadable except for the quiet spark in his eyes. Her phone buzzed again. "Actually, something came up. Rain check?" She exhaled through her nose. He's bailing. Sung-min raised one brow. "His loss." Eileen met his gaze, weighing the moment. She could leave, salvage her pride, go home and text her friend a strongly worded message. Or she set her phone face down. "Since I'm already here, and you're not running away screaming, maybe we finish the drink?" He signaled the server without breaking eye contact. 2 of whatever she was going to order. Eileen smiled despite herself. "Bold move, assuming I want to stay." "I'm not assuming." He leaned in just enough that she caught the faint scent of crisp citrus and clean linen. Nothing heavy, nothing trying too hard. "I'm hoping." She held his stare a beat longer than necessary. "You're dangerous when you're polite, aren't you?" "Only when someone interesting sits at my table by mistake." The server arrived with fresh drinks. Eileen lifted hers in a mock toast. "To wrong tables." "To the right mistake," he countered softly. They clinked glasses, and for the first time that evening, Eileen felt the night tilt in a direction she hadn't planned. Eileen told herself she wouldn't overthink it. One mistaken conversation, one unexpectedly good drink, one number exchanged with a polite, "I'd like to see you again," that sounded more like a quiet promise than a request. She didn't text first. 6 days later, she was at her usual spot, a narrow café tucked between a stationery store and a vinyl shop in Hongdae, sketching logo concepts on her tablet when the bell above the door chimed. She didn't look up until a shadow fell across her screen. "May I?" Park Sung-min stood there, coat draped over one arm, expression calm as if running into her here was the most natural thing in the world. Eileen blinked once, then leaned back in her chair. "Are you stalking me now, or is this just really good timing?" He didn't flinch. "I come here most Tuesdays. The cold brew is worth the detour." She narrowed her eyes, half smiling. "And you just happened to pick the Tuesday I'm here?" "Coincidence," he said, voice even. "But I won't pretend I'm disappointed." He waited, not pushing, not assuming she'd say yes, just waiting. Eileen studied him. The way he held himself, shoulders relaxed but posture perfect, like someone used to rooms rearranging around him. She could walk away. She could tell him the mix-up was cute but done. Instead, she gestured to the empty chair. "Sit before you scare off my muse." He did, movements economical. When the barista brought his drink without him ordering, Eileen raised a brow. "Regular," he explained simply. "Or they know better than to make you wait." A faint smile touched his mouth. "Something like that." They talked easily. Her latest freelance project, his vague import business that somehow explained the deference from the staff without explaining much at all. Every time she teased him about being too polished, he countered with a dry observation about her refusal to match anyone's pace. The push and pull felt alive, not forced. After an hour, her tablet went to sleep. She glanced at the time. "I should go. Deadline tomorrow." He nodded once. "Let me walk you out." She almost refused on principle. Almost. But the way he asked, not demanded, made her curious what he'd do if she said no. Outside, the spring air carried cherry blossoms and grilled meat from nearby stalls. They walked in comfortable silence until they reached the main street. "So," she said, stopping under a street lamp, "what's next? You going to accidentally show up at my gym too?" He looked down at her, eyes steady. "I'd like to take you to dinner. Properly. No mix-ups. No coincidence." Eileen crossed her arms. "And if I say I don't date men who appear out of nowhere?" "Then I'll ask again next week, and the week after, until you tell me to stop." She laughed softly. "That's either romantic or terrifying." "I'm hoping for the first." She considered him, really looked. The quiet intensity. The way he never raised his voice, never crowded her space, but still managed to fill it. Something in her chest loosened. "Friday," she said. 8. I pick the place." His eyes warmed, just enough to notice. "I'll be there." She stepped back, already turning toward the subway. "Don't be early. I hate waiting." "I won't be late." Eileen glanced over her shoulder as she walked away, catching the small, satisfied curve of his mouth. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't sure who was chasing whom, and she didn't entirely mind. Friday arrived with the kind of crisp Seoul evening that made the city lights feel sharper. Eileen chose a small izakaya in Itaewon. Low lights, wooden counters, the hum of conversation mixing with sizzling yakitori. Nothing flashy. A place where she could watch him without the distraction of too much polish. She arrived first, claiming a corner booth. When Sung-min walked in exactly at 8, coat already folded over his arm, heads turned subtly. Not stares, just the quiet acknowledgement people give when someone carries quiet authority. He spotted her immediately and crossed the room with that measured stride she was starting to recognize. "You're on time," she said as he slid in opposite her. "You told me not to be early." His mouth quirked. "I listen." She rolled her eyes, but the smile came anyway. Dangerous habit. They ordered grilled skewers, cold sake, edamame, and the conversation picked up where the café had left off. She told him about growing up between Lagos and London before landing in Seoul for a bigger design scene. He shared fragments. Born here, family business that demanded precision, travel that kept him away more than he liked. Nothing heavy, but enough to sketch outlines. When the server set down the sake, Sung-min poured for her first, then himself. She watched the careful way his fingers handled the small porcelain cup. "You always this formal?" she asked. "Habit." He met her eyes. "Some things are worth doing right." Heat flickered low in her stomach. She lifted her cup. "To not being stood up this time." He clinked gently. "To the right table." The sake was smooth, warming. They talked until the plates were nearly empty. She teased him about his perfectly knotted tie. He countered by asking why she always wore colors that demanded attention. The banter sharpened, softened, circled closer. Outside, the night had cooled. They walked slowly toward the main street, shoulders brushing now and then. Neither moved away. At a quiet stretch near a closed boutique, she stopped under a street lamp. "You're good at this, you know? The whole making someone feel like the only person in the room." Sung-min turned to face her fully. "You make it easy." She searched his expression, steady, unguarded for once. "What if I told you I don't do easy?" "Then I'd say I'm not looking for easy." The air between them thickened. Eileen stepped closer, just enough that she had to tilt her head to hold his gaze. "Prove it." He didn't hesitate. One hand rose slowly, fingertips grazing her jaw, before sliding to cup the side of her face. His thumb brushed her cheekbone, gentle, deliberate. She didn't pull back. When he leaned in, it wasn't rushed. His lips met hers soft at first, testing, giving her every chance to stop him. She didn't. Instead, she pressed closer, fingers curling into the lapel of his coat. The kiss deepened, slow, hungry, the kind that made the rest of the street disappear. He tasted like sake, and restraint finally slipping. She felt the shift in him, the way his other hand settled at her waist, firm but not possessive, pulling her flesh against him just enough to feel the heat of his body through fabric. When they broke apart, breathing uneven, his forehead rested against hers for a second. "You kiss like you argue," she whispered. "Only with people worth arguing with." She laughed softly, the sound catching in her throat. "Walk me to the subway?" He nodded, hand lingering at the small of her back as they started moving again. The touch stayed light, respectful, but it burned. At the station entrance, she turned to him. "Next time, I want to see where you disappear to when you're not accidentally finding me." His eyes darkened with something like promise. "Next time, you will." She stepped onto the escalator, glancing back once. He stood at the top, watching her descend, hands in his pockets, expression unreadable except for the quiet intensity that said this was only beginning. Eileen smiled to herself as the platform lights swallowed her. She was already counting the days. The following Saturday evening, Sung-min sent only one message. Address attached, 7:30. Dress warm. No explanation. No request for confirmation. Just coordinates that led Eileen to a quiet residential street in Sungbuk-dong, where traditional Hanok houses lined the lane like secrets kept from the city. She arrived in dark jeans, boots, and a soft wool coat the color of midnight, hair loose against the chill. He was waiting outside a low wooden gate, wearing a charcoal sweater and a scarf looped loosely around his neck. No suit tonight. The change made him seem more approachable, and somehow more dangerous. "You're full of surprises," she said, stepping closer. "You haven't seen anything yet." He opened the gate, gesturing her through. Inside was a small, restored Hanok. Courtyard garden lit by paper lanterns. Sliding doors open to reveal a low table set for two. Tatami mats, cushions, a low fire crackling in the hearth. The scent of grilled fish and sesame oil drifted out. "You rented this?" she asked, slipping off her shoes. "I own it." He said it plainly, no boast. A place to breathe when the city gets loud. They settled on cushions across from each other. Dinner was simple, perfect. Galchi jorim, banchan, warm rice, a bottle of makgeolli he poured with the same careful attention he always gave her. Conversation flowed slow and easy. Her favorite childhood street food, his memories of summer festivals as a boy. The way Seoul felt different depending on who you were walking beside. After plates were cleared, he stood and offered his hand. "Come." He led her through another sliding door to a private wooden deck overlooking the garden. Stars pressed close above the tiled roof. A wool blanket waited on the low bench. They sat side by side, thighs brushing, the night air cool against flushed skin. "You're quiet tonight," she murmured. Thinking. About? How someone can walk into a room by mistake and rearrange everything without trying. Eileen turned to face him. "You're saying I'm trouble?" "I'm saying you're inevitable." The words landed soft but heavy. She searched his face, open, unguarded in the lantern glow. Something in her chest gave way. She leaned in first this time. Their lips met, slow, deliberate. His hand slid to the nape of her neck, fingers threading into her hair, holding, but not trapping. She pressed closer, palm flat against his chest, feeling the steady thud beneath cashmere. The kiss built, deeper, hungrier, until she shifted, straddling his lap without breaking contact. "Ugh," he groaned low against her mouth, hands settling at her hips, thumbs tracing slow circles through denim. She rocked forward once, testing, and felt him harden beneath her. The friction sent heat racing through both of them. "Eileen," he breathed, voice rougher than she'd ever heard it. "Tell me to stop if—" "Don't." She kissed the corner of his jaw, then lower, tasting the clean salt of his skin. "I want this." His grip tightened, just enough, before loosening again, giving her control. She took it, rolling her hips in a slow grind that made him hiss. One of her hands slipped under his sweater, nails grazing the warm, hard plane of his stomach. He shuddered, head falling back against the bench. "You're killing me," he muttered. "Good." She smiled against his throat. "Payback for all those polite little looks you give me." He laughed, a short, breathless sound, then captured her mouth again, kissing her like he was starving. Hands roamed, his under her coat, palms warm against her back. hers tugging at his scarf until it fell away. Clothes stayed on, but the heat between them didn't need bare skin to burn. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, foreheads pressed together, he spoke first. "Stay tonight." She studied him, eyes dark with want, but still waiting for her answer. "Okay," she whispered. He stood, lifting her easily with him. She wrapped her legs around his waist as he carried her inside, sliding the door shut behind them. The firelight flickered across the room as he lowered her onto thick futons, already spread near the hearth. They moved together unhurried, kisses trailing lower, hands learning curves and edges, whispers traded in the quiet. Every touch was deliberate, every pause an invitation. When the night finally folded around them, it was slow and consuming, bodies moving in perfect rhythm until exhaustion claimed them both. Afterward, tangled under blankets, his arm heavy across her waist, Eileen listened to his breathing even out. She traced lazy patterns on his chest and smiled into the dark. No mistakes this time, just the right place, the right person. Weeks slipped by in a rhythm that felt dangerously easy. Late-night texts that turned into early morning calls. Shared meals in tucked-away spots where the city couldn't reach them. Sung-min never crowded her schedule, never demanded explanations for the nights she needed alone with her sketches and deadlines. He simply showed up when she let him, steady, patient, like he had all the time in the world to wait for her to decide he belonged there. Eileen liked that about him. Liked it too much, maybe. One humid Friday in early summer, her friend dragged her to an art gallery opening in Hanok. "Networking," Ji-yoon insisted. "You've been ghosting everyone since you started seeing Mr. Mysterious." Eileen rolled her eyes but went anyway, in a sleeveless black jumpsuit that hugged her curves and left her arms bare. The gallery buzzed. White walls, abstract canvases, champagne flutes catching the light. She was mid-conversation with a potential client when a voice cut through the crowd. "Eileen?" She turned. Min-jun stood there, her actual blind date from months ago, looking polished in a navy blazer, holding 2 drinks like he'd planned to offer one. Recognition hit him a second later. "You," he said. "Wow, small world." She smiled politely. "Hey, Min-jun, right?" "Yeah," he laughed, awkward. I never followed up after that night. Got caught up with work. Sorry about that." "No worries," she said, meaning it. "It worked out." His gaze flicked over her shoulder, then widened slightly. "You're here with..." Eileen followed his line of sight. Sung-min had just stepped through the entrance, dark linen shirt open at the collar, sleeves rolled to his forearms. The room shifted again, subtle, like always. People noticed without staring. He scanned once, found her immediately, and started toward them with that calm, purposeful stride. Min-jun straightened, suddenly unsure. "That's Park Sung-min? You know him?" "Everyone in certain circles knows of him." Min-jun lowered his voice. "Import-export guy. Big connections. Doesn't do small talk unless he wants something." Eileen arched a brow. "He's not here for business tonight." Sung-min reached them, gaze sliding from Min-jun to her in one smooth assessment. He didn't offer a hand, just a small nod to the other man, courteous but final. "Evening," Sung-min said, voice low. Min-jun swallowed. "Mr. Park, didn't expect to see you here." "Same." Sung-min's attention returned to Eileen, softening at the edges. "You look beautiful." Heat bloomed across her skin. She stepped closer to him instinctively. "You're late," Traffic. He brushed a stray curl behind her ear, the touch light but deliberate. Worth it. Min-jun cleared his throat. I'll let you two catch up. Good seeing you, Eileen. He melted back into the crowd. Eileen watched him go, then turned to Sung-min. You didn't have to do the whole territorial thing. I didn't. He met her eyes. He was nervous before I said a word. She laughed under her breath. Jealous? No. He leaned in, lips brushing her temple. Grateful. He walked away from the best thing that could have happened to him. I won't make the same mistake. The words landed softer than they should have. She felt them settle somewhere deep. They drifted through the gallery together, his hand at the small of her back, her shoulder brushing his arm. Ever so often he'd lean down to murmur something dry about a painting, making her laugh too loud for the hushed space. When they stepped outside later, the night air felt cooler against her flushed cheeks. At the curb, waiting for his car, she turned to him. You're not subtle when you want to make a point. I don't need to be. He caught her chin gently, tilting her face up. You already know who I want. She searched his expression, open, unguarded, the quiet intensity she'd come to crave. And if I told you I'm starting to want the same thing? His thumb traced her lower lip. Then I'd say we're finally on the same page. The car pulled up. He opened the door for her, but before she slid in, she rose on her toes and kissed him, slow, claiming, right there under the streetlights where anyone could see. When she pulled back, his breathing was uneven. Home? Your place, she said. We're not done talking. He smiled, small, real, the kind that reached his eyes. Good, because I have a lot more to say. The door closed behind them, and as the city lights blurred past the tinted windows, Eileen realized something simple and terrifying. She wasn't falling anymore. She'd already landed. Summer deepened, and so did they. Mornings found Eileen waking in Sung-min's bed more often than her own, his arm draped across her waist, breath warm against her neck, the faint scent of citrus lingering on his skin from the shower the night before. She liked the quiet way he held her, like she was something precious he still couldn't quite believe was real. But even quiet things can start to feel heavy when one person carries too much of the weight. It happened on a rainy Thursday. She'd spent the afternoon at his penthouse, sketching while he took calls in the study. When he emerged, tie loosened, sleeves rolled, he found her curled on the sofa, staring at her tablet like it had offended her. Bad day? He asked, voice gentle. Client ghosted after 3 revisions. She set the tablet aside. I'm fine, just tired of chasing. He sat beside her, close enough that their thighs touched. You don't have to chase anything here. She turned to him, searching his face. That's the problem. You make everything feel too easy, too safe. His brow furrowed slightly. That's a problem? When it comes from someone who never lets anyone see the parts that aren't safe. She exhaled. You disappear for hours sometimes. You get calls you take in another room. You have men who wait outside buildings like it's normal. And every time I ask, you give me just enough to keep me from pushing harder. Sung-min went still. I've never lied to you. No, you just manage me, like I'm something you need to protect from whatever world you live in. He looked away for the first time, jaw tight. I protect what matters. And what if what matters is knowing you? All of it. Her voice softened, but the edge remained. I'm not fragile, Sung-min. I grew up moving countries, rebuilding every time. I can handle shadows. What I can't handle is being kept on the outside of yours." Silence stretched. Rain tapped against the floor-to-ceiling windows like impatient fingers. Finally, he spoke, quieter than she'd ever heard him. "My family's business isn't clean. It never has been. The people around me, some of them aren't good. I've spent years making sure none of that touches the things I care about." She reached for his hand, lacing their fingers. "I'm not asking to be shielded. I'm asking to stand beside you." He looked down at their joined hands, thumb brushing slow circles over her knuckles. "I don't know how to do that without risking you." "Then teach me," she squeezed. "Show me the parts you hide. Let me decide what I can carry." His eyes lifted to hers, raw, uncertain in a way she'd never seen. "You're asking for trust I've never given anyone." "I'm asking for the same trust you expect from me every time I let you in." He closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them again, something had shifted. Not surrender, acceptance. "I'll tell you what I can," he said. "Not tonight, not all at once, but I won't shut you out anymore." She nodded, throat tight. "That's enough for now." He pulled her closer until she was in his lap, arms around her like he was anchoring himself. She rested her head against his shoulder, listening to the steady beat of his heart. "I love you," he murmured against her hair. The words came out rough, like they'd been waiting too long. "I didn't plan to say it like this, but I do. And I'm terrified of losing you because I'm too afraid to let you see everything." Eileen lifted her head, cupped his face. "I love you too, and I'm not going anywhere because of shadows. I'm staying because of you." He kissed her then, slow, deep, like he was pouring everything he couldn't yet say into the press of his lips. When they parted, foreheads touching, she felt the last wall between them crack open. No more managing, no more distance, just them, honest, exposed, choosing each other every step of the way. The rain kept falling outside, but inside, the air felt lighter. The first time they said "I love you" out loud changed everything between them. Quietly, permanently, like a door finally swinging open after being left ajar for months. Eileen started spending more evenings at the penthouse. Not every night, she still kept her own space, her own rhythm, but enough that her favorite sketchbooks and cozy sweaters began appearing on his shelves. Sung Min noticed. He never made a fuss about it, he simply made room. An extra pillow on his side of the bed, her preferred tea in the kitchen cabinet, small gestures that whispered "stay" without ever saying the word aloud. One warm August evening, after her long day of client revisions and his quiet meetings, they found themselves on the rooftop terrace. City lights shimmered below like a sea of stars. She leaned against the railing in one of his soft button-down shirts, sleeves rolled up, bare legs kissed by the night breeze. He stood behind her, arms gently caging her in, chin resting lightly on her shoulder. "You're quiet tonight," she murmured, thinking about how far we've come since that café table. She turned in his arms to face him. "Good far?" "The best." His hands settled at her waist, thumbs brushing slow, comforting circles over the fabric. "I used to believe control meant keeping everyone at a distance, even the people who mattered. And now? Now I know it means choosing who gets to come close." He pressed a soft kiss to her forehead. "You're the one I choose, every day." The words warmed her from the inside out. She lifted her face to his. "Show me." He did. The kiss began gentle, familiar, tender, but deepened with every heartbeat. Her fingers slid into his hair, tugging gently. His hands moved to her hips, lifting her with easy strength until her legs wrapped around him. She felt the warmth of him, the steady press of his body against hers, desire blooming soft and urgent between them. He carried her inside without breaking contact, navigating the hallway by instinct alone. In the bedroom, he lowered her to the bed slowly, reverently, eyes never leaving hers. Clothes slipped away in unhurried layers, his shirt first, her hands tracing the warm planes of his chest, hers next, his lips following the path of newly bared skin with feather-light kisses. Every touch felt like a promise. He paused often, checking her eyes, waiting for her quiet nods, her whispered yeses. When they finally came together, it was slow and deep, perfect rhythm, shared breaths, hands clasped tight. They moved as one, building toward a wave that crashed over them both at the same moment, leaving them trembling, clinging, hearts racing in perfect sync. Afterward they lay, wrapped in each other, her head on his chest, his fingers drawing lazy patterns along her spine, while their breathing slowly steadied. "I want forever with you," he into her hair. "Not just moments like this. All the days, all the nights." She lifted her head, meeting his gaze, open, certain, vulnerable in the best way. "Then ask me properly." He small and real, the kind that reached deep into his eyes. "Will you marry me, Eileen?" The question hung between them, simple, enormous, exactly right. She cupped his face with both hands. Yes. No hesitation, no shadows left unspoken. Just them, two people who had stumbled into each other's lives and chosen, again and again, to stay. He kissed her once more, softer this time, sealing the promise like a vow already kept. Outside, the city continued its endless hum. Inside, everything that truly mattered had just found its forever home. 6 months later, the rooftop cafe looked almost the same. Same fairy lights strung like quiet promises. Same soft jazz floating over the evening hum of Seoul. Same corner table by the window. Eileen arrived first this time, in the emerald dress she'd worn that mistaken night, now a deliberate choice. She sat, heart steady but quick, and waited. Sung Min appeared at exactly 8. No coat tonight, just a dark sweater that hugged his shoulders and jeans that made him look younger, freer. He crossed the room without hurry, eyes locked on her like she was the only thing worth seeing. He slid into the seat opposite. "You're early. You told me once you like people who aren't late." She figured I'd listen. He softly, the sound she'd come to love most. Dangerous habit. They ordered the same drinks from that first evening. Talked about small things first. Her new gallery showing next month. His decision to hand over the last of the family business responsibilities to trusted partners. No shadows lingered in his voice anymore. Just relief. Clarity. When the server left, he reached across the table and took both her hands. "I've spent months learning how to let go of control," he said quietly. "How to stand beside someone instead of in front. You taught me that." Eileen squeezed his fingers. "You let me in. That's what mattered." He then reached into his pocket. A small velvet box appeared between them, simple, black, unassuming. Her breath caught. He opened it. Inside rested a thin platinum band with a single emerald the exact shade of her dress, flanked by 2 tiny diamonds. Elegant, understated, perfectly her. "Eileen," he said, voice low and sure, "I don't want another 6 months, or 6 years, or any amount of time that isn't forever. Marry me. Build a life with me, here, anywhere, however you want it. Just with me." Tears pricked her eyes, but she didn't blink them away. She looked at the ring, then at him. Open, vulnerable, The man who'd once commanded rooms now asking instead of assuming. "Yes," she then louder, through the emotion. "Yes!" He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit like it had always belonged there. Then he stood, rounded the table, and pulled her up into his arms. The kiss was slow, deep, full of everything they'd built. Trust, heat, equality, love. When they parted, foreheads touching, the cafe around them felt distant, unimportant. "Home?" he murmured. "Our home," she corrected softly. They left hand in hand, her fingers laced tight with his. Outside, the city lights glittered brighter than before. No more mix-ups. No more wrong tables. Just the right two people, choosing each other for good. Months later, friends would tease them about the story, how a blind date gone wrong became the best thing that ever happened. Eileen would laugh and say it wasn't wrong at all. It was exactly right. And every morning after that, they woke tangled together in the same bed. Sunlight spilling across shared pillows. No rush to be anywhere but here. Forever started quietly, just like they did.